and you'll be posted on the website after the meeting.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Florence-Firestone and Walnut Park Community Meeting for the Metro Area Plan. Good evening, everyone. Before we get started, I'll go over some tips for using Zoom. Welcome to the Florence-Firestone and Walnut Park Community Meeting for the Metro Area Plan. If you need technical support or would like to type in a question during the presentation, you can use the chat function shown on your screen. If you're using the Zoom app on your cell phone and you don't see the chat option, you can access the chat feature by clicking the More icon at the bottom of your screen. This icon looks like 3 dots. And if you've joined us by phone, by dialing in the regular old-fashioned way, you can press *9 to raise your hand, and we'll get a notification that you've raised your hand. Also, if you're on the phone, you can press *6 to mute and unmute yourself. And we do ask that you please keep yourself muted unless you're speaking.
Si necesita soporte técnico o simplemente desea publicar algo durante la presentación, puede usar la función de chat que se muestra en su pantalla. Si está utilizando la aplicación Zoom en su teléfono celular y no ve el chat, puede acceder a la función de chat haciendo clic en el botón Más en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Aparece 3 puntos. Si se ha unido a nosotros marcando por teléfono, puede presionar *9 para levantar la mano y recibiremos una notificación que tiene la mano levantada. Además, si está en su teléfono, puede presionar *6 para silenciar y reactivar el silencio.
We have a lot of material to cover this evening. We'll begin with a brief background of the project, and then we'd like to ask for your feedback on new or innovative proposals that we've been considering as part of the Metro Area Plan. These include clean industrial uses, accessory commercial units, shared kitchens, mobile food vending, and rezoning that is part of the housing element update. But first, we would like to provide some background on the Metro Area Plan project. The Metro Area Plan, or MAP project, is intended to draft an area plan for 7 communities within the metro area. The 7 communities in the project include East Los Angeles, East Rancho Dominguez, Florence-Firestone, Walnut Park, West Athens Westmont, West Rancho Dominguez Victoria, and Willowbrook. The Metro Area Plan project includes a number of proposed goals that are being considered. These goals include updating existing policies and regulations, prioritizing equity and environmental justice, implementing the county-wide housing element, making it safer to move around within communities, planning for economic development and green space, and celebrating community identity and culture. To meet these goals, the area plan is proposing multiple strategies, some of which we'd like to share tonight and gain feedback on from you. The strategies we want to discuss include clean industrial uses, accessory commercial units, shared kitchens, and mobile food vending. Our first topic of discussion is on the clean industrial uses. Our goal with clean industrial uses is to introduce modern, cleaner technologies that are less impactful to local residents than traditional heavy manufacturing uses. These uses tend to be focused in technology, life science facilities, small-scale manufacturing, or creative industry uses, and are generally of a smaller scale. The current strategy is to introduce these new cleaner uses in targeted areas where there's existing industry near residential neighborhoods, schools, and parks to encourage a transition away from older and often polluting industrial uses. The clean industrial use strategy is implemented through development and mapping of 2 new zones. One zone is called the Life Science Park Zone, and the other is the Restricted Light Manufacturing Zone. The Life Science Park Zone is meant to encourage development of industrial parks. These would have modern or attractive design and development standards, including landscaping and on-site amenities. And these would often look like business or corporate office space. The new zone also allows for research and development, including laboratories or small fabrication facilities that could support small business startups or research facilities. In order to ensure that clean industrial uses are encouraged to develop in these areas, there would be restrictions on industrial or manufacturing uses that limit the types of activity that could be done in these zones. Uses that may result in pollutants being released into the air or into the surrounding neighborhoods would be prohibited in these areas. In order to ensure that clean industrial uses are encouraged to develop in these areas, there would be restrictions on industrial or manufacturing uses in order to better incorporate those industrial uses into the surrounding environment. Uses that standards will include requirements for landscaping the air or open and into the surrounding neighborhoods, as well as other amenities in these areas. There are some common examples of the types of clean industrial uses that these strategies would want to encourage. In the general field of life sciences and research, pharmaceuticals or biomedical facilities are examples of clean industrial uses. Not all clean industrial uses are in the high-tech, groundbreaking sciences fields. The strategies for establishing clean industrial uses would also encourage artisan manufacturing, which includes small-scale, high-quality manufacturing. And these uses would be allowed in the new restricted light manufacturing zone. And one more example of a clean industrial use would be the establishment of makers districts. Makers districts are larger facilities that are geared toward providing the equipment and expertise needed for small-scale innovative manufacturing or resources for manufacturing startups in diverse fields. The map on the screen shows the proposed rezoning for restricted light manufacturing within Florence-Firestone. This proposed rezoning is shaded in blue and located mostly along Alameda. So let's move on to our second topic this evening. The second strategy involves the establishment of accessory commercial units. Accessory commercial units, or ACUs, are commercial uses that are typically associated with a primary residential use, and they are smaller and accessory to that use. ACUs are being proposed in specific locations within residential neighborhoods. They are proposed to increase opportunities for small and local serving businesses, to promote walkable access to essential goods and services, and include more healthy options for residents. Establishment criteria is being developed to allow accessory commercial units in residentially zoned areas. Some of the establishment criteria include allowing ACUs on corner lots only. We are also looking at development standards for accessory commercial units that would ensure that any ACU is indeed accessory to an established primary residential use and has a limit to the maximum size. The maximum size would be in relation to the primary residential use or a fixed square footage. In addition, standards are being considered to require that any proposed ACU does not displace existing housing or residential units within the community. We are also looking at operational restrictions to consider for ACUs. Some of those restrictions would include restricting the types of commercial activity that could happen within an ACU, such as only allowing low-impact uses. And in addition, certain activities, including the sale of liquor or other incompatible uses, would be prohibited. The development standards, establishment criteria, and operational restrictions are all intended to ensure that the types of uses that are established as accessory commercial units are local serving to residents and provide needed services to the community. An example of a use that we're trying to encourage is a neighborhood serving grocery store or corner market that sells fresh produce. Other desirable uses for accessory commercial units may include small-scale eateries, coffee shops, or cafes that would be designed and operated in a manner that is harmonious with the surrounding residential uses. Additionally, hair salons, barber shops, or beauticians might also be able to be established as an accessory commercial use, along with bike shops and other retail. Some community members indicated a need for medical offices, and these are also being considered as an allowable accessory commercial use, provided that certain standards are met. Moving on to our third topic this evening, I'll now discuss shared kitchens. Shared kitchens are also known as commissaries, ghost kitchens, or zombie kitchens. They are kitchen facilities that serve multiple restaurants, food trucks, catering vehicles, or food delivery services by providing a food prep space, cooking stations, potable water, and other items needed for a business that does not have a permanent kitchen space of their own. They can be the kitchens of restaurants that do not necessarily have any on-site dining or customers. If you've ever ordered takeout or food delivery services from Uber Eats or Grubhub, you may have ordered from a shared kitchen. We'll add a definition to the zoning code to include shared kitchens and provide development standards for where best to locate these uses. We're considering allowing shared kitchens in certain commercial and industrial zones in order to encourage small businesses and entrepreneurship, as well as to support local eatery options and support the growth of the food delivery industry, which has been accelerated by the pandemic. We're considering allowing shared kitchens to be established according to certain criteria, such as looking at the underlying zoning, whether it's commercial or industrial, and we're also considering some operational restrictions. We would limit the hours of operation for such businesses, for example. Additionally, we're considering development standards for shared kitchens, including addressing parking and loading areas. There are actually plenty of examples of shared kitchens that are established in the LA County area already. Some of the examples are on the screen, but they tend to be not very visible or have advertising on site. And finally, the last strategy we'll be discussing this evening is mobile food vending. Mobile food vendors are often tied to a commissary or shared kitchen. And mobile food vending actually encompasses food trucks, food carts, and other similar style food services. However, in the case for the Metro Area Plan, the team is only considering regulations for food trucks by considering changes that would allow food truck vending on private parking lots. This proposal is intended to celebrate food truck vending as an integral part of the community's daily street life, encourage small businesses and entrepreneurship, and support local affordable eatery options. Criteria that we're considering to establish mobile food vending would include looking at vacant parking lots and also putting restrictions on times that the parking lot could be used for mobile food vending. For example, a parking lot that has a different primary use, such as a church or an office, could use that parking lot for food vending when that primary use is not operational. This would include nights and weekends. We're also considering development standards for mobile food vending to include a limit to the hours of operation, requiring that a shared parking lot agreement is established, and other restrictions on noise and lighting where mobile food vending would take place. Additionally, with concerns to limit any disruptive impacts from the operation of mobile food vending, we would put limitations on certain types of operation, such as prohibiting the sale of alcohol in conjunction with mobile food vending. And there are some existing prominent examples of mobile food vending that can give you an idea of what we're considering. Some of these include the Portland Food Truck Market, Grand Park Lunch in downtown LA, and the Altadena Food Truck Friday. Lastly, this is not a new strategy, but the Metro Area Plan will be implementing the land use strategies that are included in the housing element by completing the rezoning that was identified in the housing element. So first, I just want to back up to explain what the housing element is. The housing element is the county's housing policy guide for the unincorporated communities. The County of Los Angeles, along with all California jurisdictions, is required to update its housing element every 8 years. The housing element identifies housing conditions and needs and establishes the county's housing strategy through goals and policies. It also includes programs to ensure decent, safe, sanitary, and affordable housing are available for current and future residents of the unincorporated areas, including those with special needs. The foundation for the housing element is the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA, in which the state estimates how much each region's housing needs for the upcoming 8 years will be. State law requires each city and county plan for the estimated number of homes for its current and future residents through land use, zoning, and regulation. The regulations include the number of homes per acre that are allowed on a parcel and the allowable housing types, such as single-family homes, apartments, and townhouses. The RHNA for the unincorporated areas for the years 2021 through 2029 is approximately 90,000 homes. And this is approximately 3 times what the county's last RHNA was. It is also the largest number the county has ever had. Neither property owners nor the county are required to actually build these housing units, but instead the county is just required to plan for the development of these units. The 90,000 units assigned to the unincorporated county are for all unincorporated areas and will be distributed across various communities. This chart shows the county's RHNA in comparison to some other jurisdictions. For example, the City of Los Angeles has been assigned over 450,000 units, and the City of Inglewood's RHNA is close to all unincorporated communities combined with over 87,000 units assigned. According to state law, the county must show that there is enough land in the unincorporated areas where the 90,000 new homes could be built under the current land use and zoning regulations. The county is then required by law to compile a list of those parcels where the 90,000 homes would be allowed to be built under current land use and zoning regulations. Sites included in this list are known as the site's inventory. They must meet several requirements, including a minimum allowable density or the number of units allowed per acre. They must also have basic infrastructure, including water and sewer, and the potential for more homes to be built compared to what is currently on the ground. Our analysis demonstrated that we don't have enough sites to meet the RHNA. So therefore, the state requires the county to then demonstrate capacity to meet the RHNA using a rezoning program. Per state law, the housing element rezoning program must include a list of sites that will be rezoned between 2021 and 2024. When determining where to rezone to allow more housing, and especially multifamily housing such as apartments and townhouses, the main goals are to encourage infill development in urbanized areas. Sites in environmentally sensitive or naturally constrained areas such as the coastal zone, fire hazard severity zones, significant ecological areas, and hillside management areas are not selected for rezoning, as those areas are not suitable for multifamily housing development. The map on this slide shows the environmentally sensitive and naturally constrained areas within the incorporated communities in red. Sites that are located outside of the environmentally sensitive or naturally constrained areas are then prioritized based on additional locational criteria. Sites that are located near transit, amenities, and services, and are also within areas served by existing infrastructure, such as public water and sewer systems, are considered more suitable for multifamily housing development and therefore rezoning. Sites that are in areas that are less burdened by pollution or in areas with more opportunities for economic mobility are also prioritized for rezoning. Other factors, such as the age of existing buildings and the value of the land versus the value of the existing buildings, are also considered to determine future housing development potential once the site is rezoned. The county's updated housing element was adopted by the Board of Supervisors on May 17th of 2022, and it received state certification on May 27th, 2022. So as the next step, state law requires the county to complete its rezoning by 2024. The rezoning will be implemented through various community-based planning efforts, including the Metro Area Plan. The proposed rezoning for each community can be viewed online using a bilingual interactive story map on the Housing Element Project webpage. This is located at planning.lacounty.gov/housing/rezoning. In Walnut Park, mixed uses are proposed along Florence, Santa Fe, and Seville Avenues, as well as Pacific Boulevard. This would allow between 50 and 150 dwelling units per acre. And this concludes our presentation on the new proposed strategies for the Metro Area Plan, as well as the proposed rezoning through the housing element update. At this point, we will open up the conversation for discussion and questions.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening in. And for those of you that came in while the presentation was playing, the meeting itself is going to be recorded and posted on our project website. So you can always view the presentation slides and the parts that you missed. So now we want to, just as the presentation said, we want to open it up to see if there's any questions or comments from the members and attending. Feel free to unmute or write your questions in the chat. And we can take it one at a time and answer any questions or receive any feedback you have for us. And I'm going to try and share my screen as well. So you do have you can raise your hand if you'd like us to call on you, or just feel free to unmute. Oh, Kalafira, I'm gonna, let's see, are you on?
Yeah, I'm unmuted now.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So for the Florence, Santa Fe, Pacific, sorry, and Seville, so 50. So it's supposed to be how many like units that are gonna be constructed, or like, is it they're gonna be constructed there, or is it more like it's more like an incentive for property owners to be able to build there?
Are you referring to a specific, you said Seville? Are you referring to a specific project or?
Yeah, well, I mean the one in Walnut Park, because I saw in the presentation, it says there'd be mixed use along Florence, Santa Fe, Pacific, and Seville.
Okay, Adrian, I'm gonna share screen just so we can all look at the same slide, I think, right? You're talking about, let's see.
It's the housing element, Rich.
Yeah, Walnut Park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is referring, it's not a project. This is referring to the changes in land use along along those streets.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to allow for mixed use in that area. So there's no specific project being proposed.
Okay, it's just like the plan that the plan is for there to be, or like the zoning plan is for it to be 50 to 150 units per acre. So what would that be like? How many total units, I guess, in the Walnut Park area would that be?
The total amount of units in the Walnut, the number of parcels that were rezoned are, I think it's like about 282, but we're estimating, it's estimated if they have full build out, something like a few thousand low. I don't have, let's see. 2 to 4,000, I think.
Okay, and that's out of the, because I know it was like what, 90,000, right? That's like the total for the whole areas.
Yes, that's the unincorporated LA County number.
But for Walnut Park, it only be, or it would only be, you're saying 4,000 units?
No, did I say, yeah, around 4,000 is all I have is the parcel number. So I'll just say it's just 282 parcels that were proposed to be rezoned as part of the RENA project.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And only some of those were the 50 to 150 units per acre.
Okay.
Any other questions? Let me see if there's. Ashley, go ahead.
Hi, I have a couple comments / questions. I not necessarily happy or agree with the whole shared kitchen concept, at least as it was described in this presentation. When I first heard shared kitchen, I was like, okay, cool, a cooperative kitchen where maybe residents or unhoused people can come in and use, whenever they like. But then when the presentation started talking about it, it seems like it's for corporations like Grubhub, where they're using these kitchens to for their food delivery systems. It seems like this changing of zoning might benefit more billion-dollar corporations than it will residents. I mean, businesses like Uber aren't exactly known for providing good pay and treatment to their workers. A lot of these workers are people of color, probably in the communities like in Florence-Firestone and Walnut Park. So yeah, I'm not sure if it can be changed or kept out of this map project, but yeah, that was to me concerning. Something else too that maybe I think can be added to this map project is a community benefits agreement between or personalized to each community like Walnut Park and Florence-Firestone, because it seems like a lot of these zoning changes are to entice investment and businesses coming through and development. Maybe there should be some sort of agreement between community members and developers as to what will benefit residents, and not necessarily these big corporations. So if that's possible, again, a community benefits agreement. Something too that I think would be interesting to explore is maybe adding somewhere in there no more than a percentage of corporations that can come in to the community. I know that there's like a small city up north that does this. Ohio, I believe, does this. A certain no more than certain percentage of big corporations to entice small businesses. Yeah, I'm just afraid that a lot of this zoning will mostly benefit corporations and big businesses, and not residents.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you're asking for development standards as part of the community benefits agreement, or development standards that might provide some benefit to the local community
yes.
for any of it. Okay. Yes, and I'm not sure if if it came across that way, but regarding the shared kitchens, it's left generic. So we have examples of ghost kitchens that are essentially renting out their kitchen facilities to like small bakers, people who were initially cooking in their home or baking in their home, and their home basically stopped being able to support how much they were cooking, and they can rent space. It's generic that way, but I see your concern about, it seems like you have a larger concern about allowing those uses to have those uses and being made use of by larger corporations or
Yeah,
bigger
exactly.
business entities.
I think if it's open to residents or like small businesses, it'd be great, but just, preventing big, food apps from coming in and taking
Yeah.
advantage of that. Because it was mentioned something in there about increasing or expanding the food delivery industry, which I think is concerning.
Yeah, I think I can't remember what the slide actually shows, Ashley, but it's not meant to, the goal of the ghost kitchen is actually to support small, like the food truck, smaller businesses. It's not actually, I'm not sure. I think the slide was explaining like the delivery, because the Grubhub actually, they don't make anything in terms of the food. They just allow for like transport, right? They're the delivery service. So the shared kitchen and concept came as a way to support the food truck industry. So one part of the metro area plan is to allow for food trucks to park on private properties, which is new. And we want to support local entrepreneurs trying to start these small businesses. And one of their needs is to have these kinds of shared kitchen facilities where they can prepare the food that can go into their food trucks, if that makes sense. So it is meant to support local entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just, I guess, the wording, or again, something that just protects local residents, I think would be better worded or put in there.
Yeah, we hear you. Yes, we'll look at the way things are worded.
Yeah, as part of the larger goal is to support small businesses, and that would include something like a food truck vendor or someone who's been kind of expanding their business out of the home. But we'll keep that in mind. Okay, any other questions? If not, I can go back to clean industrial uses. I can ask kind of I can go through the different items and see if there's anything that people find either support or find interesting. This was the clean industrial uses is a proposal. Basically, we're taking a look at history of polluting uses that have been traditionally located along Alameda, and it was kind of a goal that was driven through that was generated from community feedback and general plan policies. So we've taken a look at the area and trying to develop a changes to industrial zoning development standards that would support these clean industrial uses. I believe we have an example map. 1 second. Just to highlight where some of those rezonings for clean industrial uses are being proposed. Does anybody have any thoughts about the map or the goals and policies for clean industrial uses? Or are you guys all in support of it? Feel free to chime in, unmute, let us know what you think. Okay. All right, okay. If there's no, is there anything in the chat, guys? No?
So, sorry, I think I'm looking at the map now. For the single family, so basically with the industrial rezoning, it looks like there's supposed to be new residence that's being built on there. Is that correct?
No, it's not a proposed project. It's just a rezoning. and it's kind of reducing the intensity of the industrial uses that are allowed in the manufacturing zone.
Mhm.
So if you look at that blue area, so generally along Alameda, and there's a pocket in the center, and we're just proposing that those are the areas where there'll be kind of a different approach taken in order to encourage clean industrial uses, as opposed to ones that may have traditionally been polluting or causing issues with local residents.
Mhm. And
It's-
what are some of those like some examples of that, like the factories or?
It could be a fact, you mean examples of industries that may have been incompatible residential uses, or
Mhm.
you know, there are some projects, I think Exat is an example of some other um, uses that were pollutants in the past. But in this case, we're just taking a look at the kind of larger policy goals and trying to make sure that these industrial uses are more harmonious with the surrounding residential area and kind of support future growth in these industries that are kind of important to the community.
Mhm. Okay.
So we've identified ones that tend to support smaller businesses. So makers districts are generally smaller companies, not large factories or fabrication plants wouldn't fall under that definition. You can go back there as well. Also, just people trying to innovate, small scale manufacturing. This could be something as simple as furniture manufacturing. It's kind of varies, but we're trying to encourage this types of uses.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Everybody's quiet today. We have one new person joining. If there's, I want to make sure I give enough time for everybody in case there's.
I see a hand.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and I'm gonna ask. Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
This is Steve Quinones, Florence-Firestone Media Organization. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Steve.
Just wanted to, with the rezoning proposed, when it comes to a lot of these local businesses, I want to set an example, like Amapola off of, I think it's Compton, I believe it's probably like 74th, I believe, probably. There's a lot of people vending outside of business, the Amapola market and other stores in the area. They're there illegally, but for some reason they're legally there. I mean, I'm not sure, but in interest with these businesses, they're affected stores that's been there for a long time. So is there a way when it comes to this rezoning, are they able to bring stuff out from their markets to kind of present what they have from the store in order to kind of assist with that vending outside where people are not paying rent permits? Is that something that's proposed to assist with the problem? Not that we want to really get rid of them, but in a way where, I mean, I understand that people need to make a living, but it's a bother where all these stores that's been there for many decades and years are being affected, but now they're not able to display their products or vegetables or fruits because we have all other people selling us out their business.
If I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that there are individuals who are vending outside of an existing business, separate from the existing business.
Correct.
And they're taking up the sidewalk or frontage in front of that business. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And in general, the plan has been focused on, because we're with the Department of Regional Planning, we've been focusing on things outside of the right of way, but it's so we haven't been looking at permitting vending within the right of way or the street or sidewalks in those areas. We've been trying to make it easier for people who would like food trucks or other types of vendors to establish their operations on private property. So that might be through a use of a shared use agreement where These operations can happen on a private parking lot that's not being used. And that might alleviate some of the pressure that those businesses feel from when they're outside there. But I don't know if there's anything we can do about, or I don't know, Connie, if there's anything we can do about them in the right of way.
Yeah, but being that with the zone change, like a market, are they able to display stuff outside their business now?
Yeah,
No,
I think the policy is more focused on creating spaces. As Rich alluded to, we regulate private property. So there are incentives built into the policy in that we're creating spaces for vendors. However, the issue of vending on sidewalks per se, and kind of the challenges between those existing businesses and the vendors is not within the scope of the plan, just in terms of what the plan can actually do. However, I think it's just a matter of noting kind of what your observation is in terms of those challenges of trying to support people who are trying to make a living, but also supporting those businesses. So I think we appreciate that you raised this concern, and something that will help us understand the bigger picture of this policy and kind of how it impacts the community. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, because one of the reasons I bring it up, I mean, I'm just using that as an example, but I mean, I'm a board member from the Chamber of Commerce, Florence-Firestone, Walnut Park. I'm the actual president right now, and a lot of these concerns are being shared because a lot of for another example, like a flower shop, they're not able to display flowers outside their business for certain reasons because of the zones. You know, the zoning changes, or they're not allowed for X amount of reasons. With the zone change, are they able to sell flowers outside their business or display flowers outside their business, for example?
Yeah, the zoning wouldn't necessarily, you know, because again, that's happening on the sidewalk, on the public right of way. But you know, what I'm wondering is, you know, if the intent is to try to support all community members in the different ways in which people are trying to make a living, has there been any discussions with the Chamber of Commerce in terms of how you know both can exist? Is there a solution or an idea
there's no solutions? There's miscommunications back and forth with county, back and forth. From my understanding, with our ex-director, we don't have an actual director right now. We just went it through the board, but there's a lot of calls where we'll call you back, missed calls and miscommunications. So we want to recap on past meetings and kind of get back in touch with you guys, you know, and with the county in general, you know. But people are being misinformed, and just want to make sure everything's up and right, you know, because there's a lot of interest in that Alameda corridor also, you know. So we'll be talking, you know, but I appreciate this meeting.
Stephen, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my email in the chat. If you want to put your email in the chat, I can reach out to you. I'll put mine in the chat, so you can send me an email, and we can set up a phone call or a talk and kind of go over the issues you've been having. I did want to comment that while we're not able to deal with it directly, we're hoping that by where we do have jurisdiction, where we do have ability to do something, by creating those spaces where those vendors might be able to display their wares and not be worried about being in the right of way, might alleviate some of that pressure to be taking that prime like storefront frontage, and kind of like allow a way of everybody kind of finding a place for themselves. So I'm just gonna put an email in the chat. If you have any questions or want to reach out, set up a meeting, just shoot me an email.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments about what was discussed, or any of the other topics that we presented on today? We have accessory commercial uses, which also deal with getting neighborhood serving retail to residential areas. We touched upon mobile food vending. Any other questions or comments from anybody? Feel free to unmute.
I have a question about the project in general. What step of the process are we in? When is this looking to get approved? And can changes still be made?
I can let Pat, our project manager, talk about this larger schedule. In general, there's always comments or ways to make changes. That's why we're here. We're in our second phase of outreach now. So we are trying to find ways of getting your feedback to make this plan serve the community as best as it can. So it's never too late to comment. It's never too late to suggest things. Yeah, Pat, I think you're more aware of the schedule. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Hi, Ashley. You always ask the best questions. So yes, we're in the second phase of our outreach. We are still drafting the plan. There is language being put together right now with policies and implementation. And as you know, kind of like with what happened with the Florence-Firestone specific plan where there was an EIR, we're also working on preparing an EIR to look at the any environmental impacts as a result of the project. We plan to have a draft release of the area plan, the EIR, as well as implementing ordinances, so zoning code changes. All that is going to come out starting the fall. So we're actually switching up the schedule a little bit. And so we will plan on creating a new timeline graphic that more clearly display the timeline. But in late October, roughly the last week of October, we're going to release first the area plan and the EIR. And then 2 weeks later, we'll release the ordinance. So you can still comment. We're going to give everybody until the end of the year to comment on that draft plan, but you'll see the language and you can comment on that. And if you have thoughts about, if anybody has thoughts about the location of the rezoning, or you just want to look at the map again, I think maybe we can somebody can put the housing element story map in so people can look at the housing rezoning map, but there's still an opportunity to comment. And then after that, we'll take your comments and make any additional changes. And the goal is to go to public hearing in front of the Planning Commission, similar to, again, like Florence-Firestone TOD specific plan. We'll go to commission for the official public hearing in late April next year. That's the goal.
you can always send in your comments. The earlier, the better.
And would we send in comments through the planning email?
Yeah, there's a project email. Can somebody type that in?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna put on this screen. Oh,
I guess another question that I have is I think I saw on the website, right, that there's like, I guess, a goal to make the rezoning equitable. So what are the, I guess, like specific like the specific ways that that's being done? My concern is that tenants that are living in the areas where property owners later on might decide to rebuild more units that that they end up being displaced, right, by that. So what are some of the actual I guess actions that are being taken to make the rezoning more equitable especially for very low income BIPOC communities in unincorporated Florence-Firestone?
I can answer that. So for one, there are affordable housing requirements, inclusionary requirements, because those zone changes are part of the housing element. It's just something that comes straight out of the state law. And It's good that we actually have that law because the county's local ordinance, although we're updating it and we're hoping that our feasibility study shows otherwise, but for now we don't have an inclusionary housing requirement in Florence-Firestone. So through these zone changes, we do have an affordability requirement. So that is one way. We're also plugged into other countywide efforts related to rent stabilization, tenant protections, which is very important in the context of possible redevelopment and displacement. And there are ongoing efforts to develop tools, whether it be community land trusts or just again, ways to prevent displacement that are underway, and we're making sure on our end that the plan and the zone changes that we're developing are not only aligned with those, but supportive. But yeah, our main regulatory tool is to require that when there's new housing, 10 or more units, that there is a inclusionary requirement, which means that the developer has to provide affordable housing. And there's a lot of programs. I would encourage everyone with similar questions to check out our housing element. It was recently certified by the state, which means that it's effective now. And there's an explanation of all the county's programs for how we are addressing housing in different ways. Countywide, if it helps to understand the bigger context, we did take fair housing into consideration. So, whereas traditionally a lot of those zone changes might be concentrated near communities that have higher density land uses and areas near transit. We did also consider fair housing in the sense that there has to be affordable housing opportunities throughout the county and not just concentrated in certain communities. So there's two considerations for fair housing. One is just in addition to the housing that's being built, are we also supporting neighborhoods with infrastructure improvements and access to amenities, so that it's not just about building more housing and more units, but it's how are we building communities? And then secondly, it's looking at neighborhoods throughout the county that traditionally have not included affordable housing or multifamily, and making sure that they provide their fair share. So that's just generally been our fair housing strategy. And there's a very comprehensive appendix in the housing element that lays that all out.
Okay, and then as far as I guess like again, like right where while tenants are waiting, like basically like my concern is like, again, like the landlord decides to build more units, and in the meantime what happens, like when they end up having to get pushed out. I think like I think that's the biggest thing that I want to voice, is that there's literally people that are gonna be left, having to scramble for to find housing, and it might not be within unincorporated Florence-Firestone where they'll be able to find it. So I think that that's the biggest thing that I want to voice.
Yeah, I appreciate you raising that. It's an important issue. And again, the county is developing lots of tools, but we still have to continue to hear that that is a big concern. So I appreciate that you brought that up.
So it's helpful if more community residents voice the fear of displacement.
It's something that we're very aware of and taking on, but I think it's still important to continue to voice it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think like I have that question too, right? Like in terms of, I know like in terms of outreach for people actually knowing, right, about rezoning, because I think people are just generally unaware, right, of rezoning and like what even rezoning means, right? Like what are the outreach strategies that are being done so that, you know, community residents are like, you know, it becomes like a bread and butter type of topic, I guess, in like households, so that they actually know that this is something that's gonna, you know, directly impact them possibly. So I get, yeah, I want to know like what are the outreach strategies that are being done.
So for outreach, this meeting is one of them. So this is our phase 2 of our outreach. We've been sharing information about work that's been that we're doing, the zoning that's being planned, and we've sent out flyers, newsletters. We've had partnerships with the local libraries and other kind of people in the area or groups in the area. We're going to be doing ongoing outreach as the project goes on, but the outreach has been kind of varied using just different tools. So if you feel there's a different way that we better be able to reach people about some of the aspects of the project, we're happy to adjust and work with you.
Yeah, I think specifically, right, like making I guess I know that y'all had like, you know, the meetings at like the parks, right? I think that you know, that's something where people can definitely, you know, like it becomes more of a knowledge of, or a common topic there, I guess. I think, yeah, making sure that the meetings are as most accessible as possible, right? Like the libraries, I think would be great, definitely. Yeah, anywhere where, I don't know, schools, is that something that, you know, like for parents, you know, that are involved in their kids' schools, right? If that's something that can be
Yeah.
shared there. I think, yeah, I think that, yeah, the community definitely has to know what's going on and how it's going to affect them so that they can, since I know that, you know, you have till the end of the year for people to actually still give their comments, you know, for them to actually be able to voice the huge concern of displacement. It's, you know, like rezoning just adds another thing,
Yeah.
another layer to the displacement and gentrification in LA, you know, generally speaking. So yeah.
Yeah, we can. We did the outreach with schools. We did that for the Florence-Firestone TOD specific plan. So we can look into that for this project as well. Maybe some flyers or information, get the word out. Yeah.
And connecting to community orgs, you know, that serve these communities, I think it's going to be crucial too. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I want to just briefly interrupt. Just I know I noticed maybe I think one person left, but I just wanted to mention that we're also asking that if you guys could fill out a poll for the meeting before you leave. So just want to give you a heads up on it. So don't leave until I give you a poll. But going back to the questions, are there any other questions, elements of that, things you wanted to share? I think we touched upon every all the main aspects. We mentioned mobile food vending. We had some discussion there. Shared kitchens came up. But I didn't. I wanted to just briefly ask, just to be thorough, what everybody thought about the accessory commercial units. So the idea is that there's a lot of areas that might not be served by traditional commercial areas. That these are accessory commercial uses, as opposed to an accessory residential use, as an accessory commercial use that's kind of secondary to a primary residential use in a residential area. Or proposing kind of expanding or allowing them in different mapped areas within different communities. Are there any thoughts or suggestions for this topic, or is it generally supported, or yeah, I'll just open it up to see if there's any comments. There aren't. There okay. It's okay if there's no comments. I just want to make sure we didn't skip over it.
Yeah, no comment. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, sure. Let's check. Oh, okay. Someone's offering to share information on Wikipedia. Can I, could you email who's Florence-Firestone Community Organization? If you have an email there, I'll reach out to you. It's on the August 13th.
It might be Steve again.
Oh, it's Steve? No, Hughes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
Steve.
it's me.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, wait, who's the...
Yeah, it's me, Steve Quinones. I'm sorry, I was just eating.
No, okay.
Yes,
No
yes,
worries.
we have a weekly event every week. We give out food and county information, general information. We got PPEs
Oh,
every
okay.
week, every week on Saturdays from 10 to 3. So we always serve over 300 people plus communities members. I mean residents in Florence-Firestone. But we are having a resource fair on the 13th, which is next Saturday from it's gonna be from 10 to 3. So you
Saturday,
guys will be a part of it also, you know. So it's a great way to share information. And I think it's a better way where certain individuals have certain questions where they hear the actual answer from you guys, you know.
Okay.
You know, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
resource fair / backpack giveaway. And
Oh.
another thing that we had this last Tuesday, we had a national night out. We had close to 400 people that attended, you know, so it was another great way to kind of share information. So yes, if there's any way, whatever I can help you guys out with when it comes to sharing the information, I would love to be a part of that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So with that, just if there's any last comments, I just want to give you guys a chance to do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna send you guys a poll right now, or there's gonna be a poll that pops up, just to get a sense of if we're hitting the mark on our meeting. If anybody else has any events, resources, or groups that want to help us with the outreach, feel free to. I posted my email earlier. I'll post it again, or not my the team email. And please reach out to us if you kind of were shy or wanted to add more comments after the meeting. Feel free to just email us any comments you had, and we'll take a note of it. We appreciate all the time that you guys took out of your busy day to be here with us. Oh, good.
I'll just quickly point out that Glafira Lopez has also offered to help share information with the community.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. If you are able to give us your email, or if you're able to email us, we'll follow up with you, Glafira. Thank you. Okay, and with that, let's see, I think we got everybody, or okay, we got most everybody. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it, and we all appreciate it. Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I left my email in the chat, by the way, just in case.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thanks everybody
Thank you.
for coming. Appreciate your time.
I forgot.